But what I'd like to do now is sort of move apace with some of the exercises.
Move the groove.
Absolutely, move on with the lesson. So we've got the crash cymbal coming in with the groove, which was exercise 2 in the lesson. I'd now like to move on, if I may, into thinking about the cymbal and how it's played when you're playing a fill, and the skills you need to have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is build this up as usual, but I'm going to start playing on from the snare drum to the crash cymbal for exercise 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I'm also going to tie in here is the skills that we learnt in lessons 4 and 7 and 8, where we were developing the control of our snare drum and the single strokes, and particularly we talked about this in lesson 7, how we generated accents, not just by hitting the drum harder, preferably not really always hitting the drum harder, but by using height to create our accent.
Yes.
And how we kept those other notes nice and quiet.
The ghost notes.
The ghost notes, very good. So we didn't have to get extraordinarily loud and can control the dynamics. And we're going to use that same skill now for playing the crash cymbal. So if I'll just swivel around here. So I'm going to use this cymbal here, and we're going to play from the snare drum to the crash cymbal. So what I'm going to do now is play a single stroke roll, but incorporating the crash cymbal on beat 1. Now remember, when I did the grooves, we were using the crash cymbal on beat 1 again,
Mm-hmm.
and that will all become clear by the time we get to the end of the lesson.
Good.
Good. So what we need to navigate here is the ability to play up here, which is, you know, quite a distance there, from here, yet not get into a bit of a sprawling mess. Now this is where control and accuracy, and again just referring back to lesson 7, I did talk about trying to hit the centre of the drums, so we're going to be trying to hit the same position on the crash cymbal each time, with just a gentle movement up there. So we've got low notes here, and then one of our notes is going to come up, crash the cymbal, and then come back down again. So I'm going to play this very, very slowly. So I'm going to start with my hand in the air here, and I'm going to crash the cymbal on 1, and then we're going to carry the roll on. Now, one extra piece of information, I don't want to overburden you, but basically if we're playing a single stroke roll, the crash cymbal becomes part of that single stroke roll. So effectively it becomes 1, E, and But if we think about the sticking, of course, I'll do that again, this time counting out the sticking, it becomes right, left, right, left. So the students quite often think it's an extra note.
It's not.
It's not. It's part of the roll, and that's incredibly important. In the same way, it's the first note. Very good.
And if you're left-handed, obviously left first.
You're starting on the left hand, yeah. Okay, so I'll run through the exercise on my own, then I'll run it with the computer to try and help me play in time. Okay, so nice and slowly. I'll try not to play too loudly so you can hear my counting. So here we go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and So you've got to keep the notes quite low here, so you're going to have to practice your tap strokes. And I found over years of practicing here that you literally have to watch what you're doing. If you're listening for it, you get distracted sometimes, and you don't listen hard enough, and before you know it, you're playing up here. And, you know, it's best to avoid that.
Okay, so keep it low to the ground.
Low to the ground of the snare drum. Yeah. So let's get exercise 3 up and play along with that, and show how the repetition should be, and also show how it becomes a little bit more interesting when you're playing along with your band track. And then what we'll do is we'll migrate into the next exercise, which is a very logical progression, using the bass drum as well. Okay, but just for the moment, let's have a look at this exercise. It's come up at 80 beats per minute, so let's just slow that down. So again, I don't embarrass myself unduly.
No, keep it simple to start with, and then we can always work up.
That's a better way of putting it. Here we go. I'm going to take the backing track, the drums out here.
Why are you doing that?
Well, just get a bit loud so you can hear what I'm doing here. E and 3 E and 4 E and and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E. So keeping the sticks nice and low, just making the movement that you need to get up to that cymbal. very small wrist motions.
Concentrating on keeping it low, those ghost notes.
Yes, especially the note straight after the cymbal crash. That's the hardest one. And on the and of one, that's the hardest to keep quiet. Okay.
That's an interesting point, because obviously you're having to hit the cymbal harder than you're hitting the snare drum, but you don't want to continue that, you know, hard with the right hand, not hard with the left hand.
Yes, hard with the left hand, soft with the hard with the right hand, soft with the left, and then after you've hit a hard stroke, to then make this hand play softly is quite a lot of control.
Yeah.
It's going to take some, you know, real concentration and some practice on that. So once you've got that together, you can of course speed it up, play it round and round and round, get good at it, really listen, use your eyes as well. So you're using all of the senses, the sensation of the feel that you're using very small tap strokes, and what this movement feels like moving up to the cymbal. Then also you're looking at what you're doing, so you're looking at your motions, making sure they're not jerky, you're not going crashy and sharp motions. You need some nice and relaxed movement there.
Yeah.
And then so you're watching your motions, and then also hearing the sound. Listening is very different from just hearing. Listening is really concentrating for the sound that you've got. So you're listening for all of the slight imperfections which are in there, and then just try to be aware of them, so that you can focus on adjusting and getting more control, getting your relaxation in. Okay, so enough about that. Same exercise, but with a subtle difference, is exercise 4.
Right.
Because what we're going to do now is we're going to put the bass drum on the first beat underneath the crash cymbal, as it is in the groove. Okay, so what it does, it gives it a padding effect. The cymbal becomes less harsh, and you have this sort of mixture of sounds, very commonly used in contemporary drumming.
Can I ask you a question?
Please do.
The notation, if you have a look on the screen there,
Yeah.
as we spoke about in part 1,
Yes.
there's our crash cymbal.
Yes.
What's the difference between that crash cymbal, which you're playing on the left,
Yeah.
and the crash cymbal that we've got on the right?
No difference at all. As a drummer, you make your choice as to which crash cymbal is most convenient to play, depending on where you are on the kit. And that's going to become really important when we go to our 5th and final exercise, when we move around the kit, because I will probably predominantly play this crash cymbal, because it's closer to me when I finish my fill.
Okay, so they don't look any different
No different.
in the musical notation.
With a drummer's job with musical notation, you have to do a lot of interpreting. So you're taking raw data and saying, right, when I play that, I'm going to be here, so I'm going to hit this cymbal. So it's up to the drummer. It's not a pitch of note, so you can use any crash cymbal, the one that you think's most comfortable to play.
Even though they do have slightly different sounds.
Absolutely, won't have any effect. Great. Let's play this exercise now. Again, I'm just going to drop it down to 60. I'll just run it a couple of times. I'll probably bring the bass drum in after a couple of run-throughs.
Yeah, as we do, build it up.
Absolutely. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E. Okay, I'm going to bring the bass drum in now. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Really trying to make sure that you play the cymbal and bass drum at exactly the same time. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you'll notice that the exercise I've written there is an accent. So it's like da, so I'm accenting. So it's got a very musical reason for being there. The crash cymbal's got a very musical reason.
No, I could really, when you said about the bass drum softening the sound there,
Great.
it really does take away that edge that you've got from the crash.
So it makes it less harsh and integrates it into the whole pattern. So what I want to finish off with now is playing a fill, incorporating it with a groove, and playing a crash cymbal.
God, you're getting very
It's a
good
big
today.
job. So what we've got is our exercise 5. We've got here the crash cymbal as part of our groove.
Yes.
Then we're going to play a fill. Now this is where it's really interesting. The crash is at the end of the fill. In essence, It's at the beginning of the groove. That's why it was so important to have a look at crash cymbals from grooves at the very, very beginning of the lesson.
Okay,
so it's a bar of groove with a crash cymbal at the front, and then a 16th note fill around the kit. As I talked about earlier, I'm going to probably hit this crash cymbal because it's more convenient, and it means I won't have to turn my body round to crash the cymbal on my left-hand side. You watch this. Let me run through it quickly.
Okay, so the crash cymbal is giving the effect of finishing off the fill.
Yeah, so the beginning of the groove at the end of the fill. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. So the, yes, crash cymbal finishing off the fill there. Unfortunately, we have to finish off the episode.